Somebody in this room needs to hear this. God is about to step into your situation in a way you didn't even pray for. You've been worrying, stressing, trying to figure it out, but God said, stand still. I'm about to surprise you. Oh yes, in the next 20 hours, heaven is about to move on your behalf. If you believe it, shout amen. Family, listen to me closely. You are not here by accident. You are not listening to this message by coincidence. You have stepped into a divine moment, a spiritual appointment, a heavenly setup, because God told me to tell you, the next 20 hours will shift something in your life. The thing you thought was delayed, the door you thought was closed, the prayer you thought God wasn't hearing. God said, I'm about to surprise you. I'm about to do it suddenly, quickly, unexpectedly. Some of you have been walking through a silent season, a lonely season, a frustrating season, but every silent season is a setup for a suddenly. And when God moves suddenly, He doesn't knock, He doesn't warn, He doesn't send a reminder. He shows up with glory, with power, with favor, with breakthrough. The next 20 hours will not be like the last 20 days. God is shifting atmospheres, breaking barriers, and rearranging things in your favor. When God decides to move in your life, He doesn't send you an email, a text message, a reminder, or a warning. He steps into your story at the very moment when you have stopped expecting anything to happen. That's when His surprises carry the most power. Sometimes you are standing in a season where everything feels slow, silent, and stagnant. You pray, but nothing seems to shift. You push, but nothing seems to open. You wait, but no sign appears. And in those moments, you start to think maybe God is done. Maybe He has moved on to someone else. Maybe your prayers have expired. But what you don't realize is that God does His greatest work in the moments where you feel absolutely nothing. Because silence is not absence. Silence is strategy. God hides His hand so you cannot predict Him. He hides His movement so you cannot limit Him. He hides His plan so you cannot interfere with it. There are miracles that can only happen at the edge of your exhaustion, in the middle of your confusion, at the height of your frustration. Because only in those moments do you truly let go. Only then do you surrender enough for God to take complete control. You've been carrying burdens that weren't yours to carry, trying to fix things that weren't yours to fix, and stressing over situations that were never in your hands. But these next 20 hours are going to show you a side of God that you may have forgotten, the God who steps in suddenly, the God of Abraham who parted seas without notice, the God of Joseph who transformed a prisoner into a prime minister overnight, the God of Paul who turned a persecutor into a preacher in a single encounter. That same God is working in your story. What feels like a long wait to you is just one moment on God's calendar. Heaven does not operate on your clock. God does not move according to dates and deadlines. He moves according to destiny. And destiny is always on schedule, even when your life feels delayed. When God surprises you, it is never in the timing you expect. Sometimes He waits until everything in your life contradicts the promise He gave you. Sometimes He waits until every door you knocked on stayed shut. Sometimes He waits until your strength is gone, your hope is thin, and your faith feels small. And then just when you say, Lord, I don't know anymore, God says, now you're ready. Now you're in position. Now watch me work. His surprise is not just a blessing, it is a statement to your enemies that they cannot stop what God has ordained. A statement to your situation that it cannot hold you. A statement to your doubts that they do not have the final say. God specializes in showing up when no one expects Him, so that everyone will know it was Him. And in the next 20 hours, the breakthrough you thought was far away is about to knock on your door, step into your life, and rewrite your story. God is not finished with you. He is getting ready to surprise you in a way that leaves no room for anything but gratitude, worship, and awe. There are moments in life when the delay feels so heavy that it starts to sink into your spirit. You stand there wondering why God is taking so long, why the promise hasn't manifested, why every prayer feels like it's bouncing off the walls. You start to question if maybe you misheard God, if maybe the vision was just your imagination, if maybe the dream was too big for someone like you. But what you don't understand is that the delay was never God ignoring you. It was God preparing you. Every pause has a purpose. Every waiting season has a reason. God never delays to punish. He delays to develop. He slows things down so he can speed you up. He holds back the blessing because your character, your mindset, your maturity, or your environment wasn't ready to carry what he was about to release. If he gave you the opportunity too early, you would have mishandled it. If he opened the door too soon, you would have walked through it unprepared. If he answered the prayer before you were strong enough, the blessing would have become a burden. God loves you too much to give you something that could crush you. So he delays not to keep you out, but to build you up. He took David through the pasture before putting him in the palace. He took Joseph through the pit and the prison before giving him influence. He took Moses through the backside of the desert before using him to deliver a nation. And he has taken you through some things: disappointment, betrayal, loneliness, confusion, not because he was punishing you, but because he was preparing you. You may not see it yet, but every delay has been shaping you. The tears you cried were cleansing you. The prayers you prayed were strengthening you. The battles you fought were teaching you. The silence you endured was stretching you. God has been maturing your faith, refining your heart, sharpening your discernment, and positioning your life. You are not the same person you were when you first asked God for that miracle. You are wiser now. You are steadier now. You are more rooted, more grounded, more spiritually awake. You can handle what God is about to do. Sometimes God delays things because the blessing itself needs time to develop. Sometimes the people who will support you are not yet in position. Sometimes the opportunity is still being formed. Sometimes the right connections, the right environment, the right timing aren't aligned yet. You are waiting on God, but often God is aligning things for you. He's shifting hearts, moving obstacles, rearranging circumstances, and preparing a future that matches the promise he spoke. And in the next 20 hours, God is getting ready to show you why he took his time. When the breakthrough arrives, you will look back and say, "Now I understand. Now it makes sense. Now I see why I had to wait." The blessing that's coming isn't ordinary. It's tailored, it's targeted, it's timed. It's been shaped in the delay, strengthened in the waiting, and perfected in the silence. And when God finally releases it, it will fit your life in a way that nothing else ever could. While you were worrying, God was working. While you were pacing the floor at night, wondering how things would ever come together, heaven was quietly arranging the very pieces you thought were missing. You only see the surface, but God sees the entire blueprint of your destiny. You only see the closed doors, but God sees the hallway behind them. You only see what's happening around you, but God sees what's happening beyond you, above you, and ahead of you. And the truth is, God does his most masterful work in the places you cannot see. His fingerprints are all over the parts of your life you thought were untouched. His presence is in the conversations you weren't part of, the rooms you weren't invited to, the decisions made behind closed doors that will soon open for you. You think nothing is happening because you don't hear anything. You think God is still because you don't feel anything. But the silence of God is never the stillness of God. Heaven does not go on pause just because you can't perceive movement. Angels do not stop moving simply because you can't trace their path. God's hand is not inactive just because your natural eyes can't follow his strategy. Much of what God is doing in your favor is invisible until the moment it becomes undeniable. Think of Joseph, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. From the outside, his life looked like it was going in the wrong direction. But behind the scenes, God was positioning him step by painful step for a throne he never even imagined. Every unfair moment was a divine arrangement. Every betrayal was a push toward his destiny. Everything that looked like a setback was in reality a setup for his elevation. You may feel like your life has been one long detour. But what if the detour was actually the direct route God needed you to take? What if the things that seemed to go wrong were actually going right behind the scenes? What if the connections that broke were necessary so God could connect you to the people who would carry you into your next season? God has been orchestrating favors you didn't see, conversations you weren't part of, and opportunities you didn't know existed. Sometimes the biggest blessings are the ones that are being built without your knowledge. Sometimes the doors God opens are doors you didn't even know were there. You can only see the natural natural, but God has been moving in the supernatural, aligning timing, shifting circumstances, softening hearts, preparing resources, opening pathways. You are walking into a future that has been under construction long before you prayed your first prayer about it. This is why the next 20 hours matter. Not because God suddenly starts working, but because he finally reveals what he has been working on all along. What looked random will suddenly make sense. What felt painful will suddenly feel purposeful. The people who left will suddenly seem necessary. The closed doors will suddenly look protective. And the miracles that show up will feel like they happened overnight, but heaven knows they were years in the making. God has been building the blessing in the background, and you are about to step into the finished work. Faith is not proven in the moments when everything is going right. Faith is proven in the moments when nothing makes sense. It's easy to trust God when the door opens, when the money comes in, when the opportunities flow, when the prayers are answered instantly. But real faith, the faith that moves mountains and activates miracles, is the kind of faith that stands firm when the ground beneath you is shaking. It's the faith that whispers, God is still able, even when everything around you is shouting, give up. It's the faith that refuses to let your circumstances speak louder than God's promise. It's the faith that says, Lord, I don't see it, I don't feel it, but I still believe you're working. Faith doesn't require clarity, it requires trust. You don't need to understand what God is doing in order to believe that he's doing something. You don't need to see the solution to believe that the answer is on the way. Faith is choosing to walk into a dark room knowing God already turned the light on. You just haven't reached the switch yet. And throughout your journey, God has been testing, stretching, shaping, and strengthening your faith because the miracle he's about to release requires a different level of belief than what you had before. You didn't know it while you were crying, but your prayers were forming something. You didn't know it while you were discouraged, but your persistence was unlocking something. You didn't know it while you were tired, but your trust was building something. Every time you chose faith over fear, heaven was taking note. Every time you lifted your hands when your heart was breaking, heavens moved closer. Every time you said, Lord, I trust you, while everything inside you was trembling, you were activating spiritual laws that opened the way for divine intervention. God does not respond to need. He responds to faith. Many need miracles, but not all believe for them. Many want breakthrough, but not all expect it. Many desire change, but not all speak it. Faith is the currency of the kingdom. Faith is the key that unlocks doors no man can shut. Faith is the bridge between your prayer and your manifestation. And in these next 20 hours, your faith is going to collide with God's perfect timing. When faith meets divine timing, miracles cannot be stopped. This is the moment where what you believed silently will show up publicly. The faith you held on to in the dark will be rewarded in the light. The prayers you made under pressure will turn into testimonies you share with joy. Your faith is not returning empty. Your waiting is not returning void. God saw your endurance, your resilience, your refusal to quit. And now, right before the breakthrough arrives, he is reminding you that your belief has been the very force pulling the miracle toward you. You weren't waiting on God. Your faith was preparing you for what God was about to release. And now, heaven has declared that the time of preparation is ending. Your belief is about to produce results. Your trust is about to turn into triumph. Your faith is about to become sight. In the next 20 hours, the very thing you believe for in private is about to show up in your life in a way that leaves no doubt it was God, and it was your faith that activated it. When God finally releases what he has been preparing for you, it will not be something small, ordinary, or familiar. God does not surprise his children with something average. Whenever God steps into a situation, he brings overflow. He brings abundance. He brings answers that exceed prayers, blessings that outrun expectations, miracles that silence doubt. What God is about to send into your life is bigger than what you asked for, greater than what you imagined, and more powerful than anything you have ever experienced. The next 20 hours are not just about receiving something. They are about receiving something that upgrades your entire life. You asked for enough to get by, but God is sending enough to break cycles. You asked for strength to endure, but God is giving strength to conquer. You asked for a door to open, but God is preparing a hallway of opportunities. You asked for healing in one area, but God is bringing restoration in every area. You asked for clarity, but God is releasing revelation. You asked for peace, but God is giving you a level of calm that will guard your heart for years to come. His answer is always larger than your request because His vision for your life is greater than your vision for yourself. God specializes in the unexpected, the blessings that leave you speechless, the breakthroughs that make you weep, the favor that causes people to ask, how did that happen so fast? When God surprises you, it's not just to bless you, it's to elevate you, reposition you, and announce to heaven, earth, and hell that His hand is on your life. Every person who doubted you, every situation that tried to break you, every insecurity that tried to silence you, all of it will be overshadowed by the magnitude of what God is about to release. The blessing He's preparing is too big for who you used to be. That's why He had to stretch you. That's why He had to strengthen you. That's why He had to take you through the fire. Not to burn you, but to expand your capacity. God cannot pour something massive into a vessel that is too small to hold it. So, He enlarged your faith, expanded your endurance, increased your wisdom, and deepened your relationship with Him. You outgrew old habits, old fears, old circles, old ways of thinking, because what's coming requires a new version of you. And when it arrives, it won't just bless you, it will transform you. It will lift your level, change your perspective, and shift your environment. It will show you why God had to remove certain people, why He had to close certain doors, why He didn't let some opportunities work out. Because what He's sending now would have never fit in those old places. What God is releasing is custom-made for the person you've become. It's designed to fit the strength you've gained, the wisdom you've learned, the faith you've developed. Get ready, because the blessing that is coming is going to place you in rooms you never knew existed. It will connect you to people who recognize your value. It will open doors that stay open. It will create opportunities that multiply. It will place favor on you that cannot be explained, only witnessed. In the next 20 hours, God is not just giving you what you prayed for, He is giving you what you didn't even know to pray for. And when it manifests, you will look at your life and realize that this blessing was too big to be accidental, too perfect to be coincidence, too timely to be random. It will be undeniably, unmistakably, unquestionably God.